It's time for Northwestern Outdoors Radio, the show focusing on fishing, hunting, outdoor recreation, destinations, and conservation in the region where you live and play. Northwestern Outdoors is brought to you by Mack's Lure Company, Sportsman's Warehouse, Leupold and Stevens, Stehekin Valley Ranch, and Wallowa County. And now, let's see what's going on in the field and on the water with your host, John Cruz.
March is here, and that means it's time to think about spring fishing. Chinook fishing opened up on the lower Columbia River below Bonneville Dam on the 1st, and as always, hopeful crowds are heading to the Big Sea in hopes of tangling with a big Chinook. Further inland, several eastern Washington lakes open up on the 1st as well. The Quincy Lakes opener in the desert is always a popular one with both local and western Washington anglers coming over the pass, hoping for some March sunshine and some trout to go with it. And the Tucannon Lakes opener in southeast Washington draws a crowd too, especially from the Tri-Cities. I spoke with Jason at the last resort down there. Jason says the lakes are thawed out, stocked, and he expects good fishing on spring, blue, and rainbow lakes this week and beyond. As we continue inland into the northwest, you'll find some of those lakes are not thawed out at all, and ice fishing is still the norm. That shouldn't stop you from getting out there, though, because those fish under the ice have got to eat too, and in some places, like Cascade Lake in Idaho, they've been pulling some impressive perch onto the ice, weighing up to 2.5 pounds this winter. Want to hear more about fishing this time of year? Okay, we'll talk to Austin Moser in a few minutes, a well-known Central Washington guide who is fishing Lake Roosevelt and Banks Lake in eastern Washington this month. He'll tell you about catching kokanee and rainbows out of Lake Roosevelt and walleye out of Banks Lake, and he'll also ask you for some help to put on an event for a group called the Fallen Outdoors. Specifically, he is taking veterans and soldiers with his nonprofit group out for a day of walleye fishing, and he needs some folks who have boats and know how to fish for walleye to join him in this endeavor. From Washington, we'll head to Flaming Gorge Reservoir, bordering Wyoming and Utah, where longtime Mack's Lure Pro staffer Mike Hall will finish off our Kokanee destination series of extended Max minutes, and then we'll take you to British Columbia for some fishing. Not to the coast, though, like we usually do. Nope, this time we're taking you inland to southeast British Columbia, close to the border of Alberta, where there is some great summer trout fishing to be found in several streams there. Kelly Laatsch, co-owner of the St. Mary Angler Fly Shop in Cranbrook, will tell you more about that. Last but not least, we'll put down our fishing rods and get ready to head to the range to try out a brand new rifle scope from Leupold and Stevens called the Mark V HD. If you want to reach out there and touch a target or an animal in a hunting situation, you'll want to hear what John Snodgrass with Leupold has to say about this awesome new scope. But before we do all of that, it's time for another edition of Sportsman Spotlight. This week, David Sparks is going to tell you about an electronic investment that's definitely going to pay off dividends in the field.
Don't we all love high-tech gadgets? I'm David Sparks with Sportsman Spotlight. I heard about the coolest thing ever coming in the form of a GPS and a chip that can tell you the exact boundaries of the hunting unit that you drew. Dying to hear more, I called up Brian Jones, who works at the gift bar at the Sportsman's Warehouse store in Casper, Wyoming.
The chip and the unit are two separate companies, but they coincide together. The unit will give you your longitude and latitude. The Oregon series, the Montana series, and the Dakota series all have what they call three-axis compass. So you can hold the unit straight up and down facing you, and that compass will still navigate for you. You don't have to hold it flat and keep moving to make that compass engage like you would have to with the older styles. And then you put that chip in there, it'll give you your state, your BLM, your private landowner names, the 3 big game units, elk, deer, and antelope, and it'll give you township and range. That's what the surveyors use, more or less, to map out a plot of land.
So what you're saying, a hunter draws an area and wants to stay within the boundaries of that area, and he can get your device to make sure that he is legal.
Exactly, definitely. CHIP also gives you a 24,000 scale topographical map, so it's really detailed, let you know ridges and water sources are at and all that.
And how much does this item cost?
The chip runs $100. That gives you all your information that you want. The unit's anywhere from $330 to $500.
Cheap to stay legal.
Definitely. It beats a $3,000 trespassing ticket.
This is David Sparks for Sportsman Spotlight.
Farmer Dan Mader talks about Northwest Farm Credit Services.
For the last few years, it's been very, very strong, and it's strong today, and we've got a great board and great leadership. In the banking world, capital and strength are synonymous. Our management is very focused on having a strong institution, very high levels of capital, so that we can withstand any kind of situation that comes along. I think they're just doing a great job.
Northwest Farm Credit Services, here to help you grow. Equal opportunity provider and employer, equal housing lender.
What if there were an easier way to make sense of farm data? A smarter way to make decisions? A better way to harness the power of precision agriculture? There is. Introducing Agellum by CHS. Agellum is a customizable farm planning and management platform that analyzes your farm's unique data, empowering better agronomic and economic decisions. Contact your CHS agronomist or yield point specialist to get started. Agellum. Activating data.
Wetlands are some of the most important ecosystems on Earth, but our wetlands are quickly disappearing. Find out how you can help. Join Ducks Unlimited today.
With an Evinrude motor and Minn Kota troller and Lowrance fish finder or two.
You're back with Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. We're talking to a frequent guest on our show. His name is Austin Moser. He's a hard-working guide in the Pacific Northwest. You'll find him guiding for all sorts of different species throughout the state of Washington. And we're going to catch up with him and find out where he's fishing March and April. Austin, where are you going to be?
Well, I'll be up there on Lake Roosevelt in Washington State. We'll be fishing for the kokanee up there. The trophy kokanee are really awesome fish up there. They're 18 to 24 inches, and we're catching some nice fish. Also, we're catching some really good rainbows up there at the same time. It's a lot of fun, and we always got something tugging on the line. It might not always be a trophy kokanee, but we're catching a lot of fish, and we're having a good time.
So let's talk about that kokanee fishery. Last year, not only you, but a lot of other guides were heading up there. A lot of people were fully expecting the state record to be broken. And then it seemed to be really slow starting off this year. Has it picked up, and is it worth going fishing in the March-April time frame for kokanee at Lake Roosevelt?
Well, this year it seems like the water's gone down a little bit later than it has in the past couple years. And so when the water goes down, that's what draws the fish down to the lower sections of the lake, and brings their food base down towards Grand Coulee. And so it schools up the fish, and we do really well when that is happening.
So is it happening now?
Yes, the water is down. It's moving down every day, and we're going down to about 80 to 100 feet, and then they'll start bringing it back up. But the fishing's going to be real good when it's down like this.
All right. Now, again, the kokanee are great, and goodness knows they are great tasting. But Lake Roosevelt, this has really developed in one of the best big rainbow trout fisheries in the state, especially in the winter months, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. The tribe's putting in 750,000 of these rainbows a year. We're only allowed to keep clipped rainbows up there now, as in the past we could keep any of the rainbows, but they took away our size restrictions. We can keep any fish as long as it is a hatchery fish, and they're great eating fish. They cut red like a kokanee, and they're feeding on the same types of food as the kokanee, so they're an awesome fish up there. And
what's the average size, Austin?
You know, they're averaging 14 to 18 inches probably, and we're getting some in the 22-inch range.
Those are some very, very fine fish. Definitely a quality fishery, but that's only part of what you're doing right now. I understand you're fishing another lake as well for another species, also in eastern Washington.
Yeah, we're fishing Banks Lake. It's getting started here. We're on the pre-spawn. Before the walleye start to spawn, they start to stage in these areas, and we target them there, and we do really well on the walleye. Our average has gone up. They lowered our size limit to 12 inches, and it's cleaned out the lake of all the really small fish. So we're averaging 18 to 20 inches on our walleye, and you get 8 per day.
Oh, that is fantastic. Now, Banks Lake, it's a really long lake, and there's a lot of lake miles to cover. Are there certain places in the lake where you're going to find those walleye early on? I mean, is it closer to the dam in the south end? Is it up by Steamboat Rock State Park? Where are you looking for them?
Well, a lot of guys are targeting the walleye around the Barker Flats area on the other side of Steamboat Rock. That's a great place to start, and if you go out on the lake, you're going to see a lot of boats out there when the fishing's good, and that's a great way to key in on some fish.
And what's the main way they're catching walleye this time of year? Are they trolling crankbaits? Are they, doing the old bottom walker with a worm spinner crawler harness? What are they doing, and what kind of lures do you like to use?
I use a Walleye Elite blade from Yakima Bait. That works really good for me. I also use the Super Death hook up there. It's kind of like the Slow Death hook, but it has a little bigger bend in it, and it's a little heavier wire, so we're not losing any of the big fish anymore on those. And they put a great spin on the worm.
So do you use a whole crawler or a half crawler?
No, I generally use either a half crawler or a 3/4 crawler. I do that because when I break the crawler, it tends to let some of the scent out of it, and it makes it easier to thread it up the line on the Super Death hooks. When I'm running the other worm harnesses with the 2 single hooks, I like to still break the end off of it, and I'll use 3/4 of a worm and lets the scent out. Works really well.
So let me ask you a crazy question here. You and I have both seen lots of, interesting things that have come out to attract fish when it comes to scent, when it comes to color. I remember there was this thing that made your night crawlers glow in the dark a few years ago. I've seen people who actually will put scent on a night crawler or on the spinner crawler harness in addition to the bait itself. Does any of that matter in your opinion, or is it just the crawler and the scent of that is enough?
Well, I think a lot of people think that it's a reactive bite, but I'll tend to put some scent on the back of my blades, on the hard blades that I have, or even on the line itself, depending on how finicky the fish are being and what is going to help key in the fish to bite for me. We do a lot of different things, and when we're trying to find fish, sometimes I play around with it a little bit and try to see what they want that day.
So I got to ask, when it comes to scent for walleye, what do you use? I'm pretty sure it's not tuna.
No, I use a Procure Predator scent. They have walleye, lots of different walleye scents. I like the craw anise, craw garlic, and then there's a Predator scent that I really like.
Speaking of Banks Lake, speaking of walleye, there's something special you do for our veterans. Tell our listeners about that.
Yeah, so on April 7th this year, 2018, we're going to do a TFO event, which is the Fallen Outdoors. Last year we did it. We had 28 veterans in the event, and we bring out some volunteers to take these guys fishing. And it's a great event. We get sponsors to donate prizes for these guys, and we just like to get them out on the water and show them a good time.
Well, I think it's great. And folks, the Fallen Outdoors is a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to getting our soldiers and veterans, most of them who have seen combat, out fishing. Because as we all know, all of us that fish, it is therapeutic and it does help them as well. So Austin, thanks for what you're doing. Are you still looking for guides to take some of these veterans out on this trip here?
Yeah, we're definitely taking on more volunteers. We haven't announced the trip yet, and we're trying to get as many guys out as we can. So we're looking for quality guys that know how to fish walleye and can take some of these guys out.
And folks, you don't have to be a guide to do this. You just have to have a boat and know how to catch walleye. Let's go ahead and give folks a website to find out more, either to book a trip with you up on Lake Roosevelt for kokanee and trout, or maybe to go ahead and book a walleye trip with you on Banks Lake, or help you out with this event with the Fallen Outdoors on April 7th.
Yeah, my website is austinsnorthwestadventures.com.
That's austinsnorthwestadventures.com, austinsnorthwestadventures.com. Be sure to check out the website. Austin, thanks as always for joining us on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thanks for having me, John.
I've got to tell you, I really appreciate what Austin is doing for our veterans and soldiers with the Fallen Outdoors. I hope you can help out with that. Stick around. We've got a whole lot more of the outdoors coming your way. And we'll close out this segment from the man who provides music for our show every week, Frank Prevost, from his album, I Miss Lake Bemidji.
Chucking big bait, making figure eights with musky spinners and lures. Oh, honey, I love you, and that's not a line. Musky guides all tell the truth. This must be the reason why I miss fishing more than I miss you. This must be the reason why I miss fishing more than I miss
Sportsman's Warehouse is America's premier outfitter and has the quality gear you need for hunting, fishing, camping, and more. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff will help you find the right product so you get the most out of your time in the field or on the water. In addition to stocking superior clothing and outdoor equipment, we offer in-store events and seminars so you can enjoy a successful adventure. With over 70 stores located in the United States, it's easy to find a Sportsman's Warehouse store near you. Find out more at sportsmanswarehouse.com.
Be sure to attend the Central Oregon Sportsman Show at the Deschutes County Fairgrounds in Redmond, March 1st through the 4th. There's going to be lots of outfitters, great deals on outdoors gear, seminars, a trout pond for the kids, and acres of RVs on display. It's the Central Oregon Sportsman Show, March 1st through the 4th at the Deschutes County Fairgrounds in Redmond.
In the heart of the North Cascades Mountains of Washington State, at the head of Lake Chelan, lies a small community called Stehekin. Stehekin is a special place and not accessed by road. Part of the adventure is getting here by boat, helicopter, airplane, or by trail. Stehekin Valley Ranch, with delicious food, comfortable cabins, and a magnificent setting, is your place to stay while enjoying hiking, fishing, horseback riding, kayaking, bicycling, or just plain relaxing. StehekinValleyRanch.com, where your next adventure awaits.
At Leupold Optics, they guarantee performance. Those other optics companies, they just warranty failure. That's why every Leupold product has a lifetime guarantee. Think of it as a warranty you'll never need to cash in on. Find out more at Leupold.com.
You're back with more of the great outdoors on Northwestern Outdoors Radio with John Cruz.
It's time for another Mack's Minute, brought to you every week by Mack's Lure Company. With us today at the Washington Sportsman Show in Puyallup is very well-known Kokanee angler and Mack's Pro staffer Mike Hall. Mike, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you very much.
So, Mike, your favorite body of water to fish for Kokanee is located on the border of Utah and Wyoming, Flaming Gorge Reservoir. Tell our listeners a little bit about that fishery.
That is the best kokanee fishery for size and production and numbers in the world. We average fish 2 to 4 pounds down there regularly on a basis. Someone catches one over 6 or 5 to 6 pounds every day.
Well, I was going to say that's a bold statement, but if that's the truth about how big they are, boy, that is absolutely true then. What is the limit, and are limits common of fish this size?
Limits generally range right around the 4-pound average per fish, 3 fish per angler. To give you an idea on size, we hold about 90% of all the world records on kokanee.
That is amazing. So tell our listeners, especially in the winter and early spring, how you go about catching them.
Definitely a flasher and a squid. That with a smile blade on there, you can't beat it. Put a little bit of scent on there. Try mid-lake to start with, and then as the summer progresses, head towards the Wyoming side where the river comes in.
And obviously the depth's going to change as the seasons change as well, but for somebody who's trying to figure out where they might be, where should they be looking on their electronics?
On the electronics, you may not see them to start of the season. They'll be up shallow, the first 10 foot of water. Generally see them up towards the buckboard area of the lake, upstream to start, down to Lucerne. Later on in the summer, you'll find them widely dispersed, and you'll find them down as deep as 80 feet. And you'll find smaller Macks mixed in with them, as well as rainbows, which are a plus. And I think the Mack limit's like 8, and you can have 1 trout.
Well, there you go, folks. Not just kokanee, but Mackinaw, rainbows too. You'll find it all at Flaming Gorge Reservoir. And if you want to buy some tackle that'll catch those fish, just go to maxlure.com or go to your local sporting goods store and look for Mack's Lure products that will catch kokanee. Thanks, Mike.
Hey, thank you. Mack's Lure, we catch fish.
At Leupold Optics, they guarantee performance. Those other optics companies, they just warranty failure. That's why every Leupold product has a lifetime guarantee. Think of it as a warranty you'll never need to cash in on. Find out more at Leupold.com.
The Sling Blade is Mack's Lure Company's latest dodger for you to use. Lance Mers is with us from Mack's Lure Company to tell you more about it. Why are you so excited about the Sling Blade?
Versatility, John. You can bend the Sling Blade and change it from a reactionary bite to a normal bite, and it's got so many possibilities.
Not only that, it comes in different sizes. You can use the Sling Blade for everything from trout and kokanee all the way to ocean-going salmon. It's the Sling Blade. Look for it at maxlure.com. Next up on Northwestern Outdoors Radio, we're taking you over the border to British Columbia, but not the part of British Columbia you usually think of when it comes to fishing. Now, I know a lot of you, when it comes to BC, you immediately think of saltwater salmon fishing, halibut fishing, but there's some excellent trout fishing to be found in the interior, particularly in southeast British Columbia. With us here to tell you more about it is Kelly Laatsch. He is the owner of St. Mary Angler Fly Shop in Cranbrook, and he also has a guide service too. Glad to have you on board, Kelly.
Great to be here.
Kelly, you're going to have to educate me, you're going to have to educate our listeners. Tell us about the rivers that you have near Cranbrook where people are coming to do some fishing, particularly fly fishing.
One of the problems, southeastern British Columbia, we often call it the black hole of British Columbia, not in a bad way, in a good way. It's because we live so far away from the coast. We're on the Canadian Rockies next to the province of Alberta. So the closest U.S. destination for a person like who wants to come in and fly into our area would be Kalispell, Montana. So we're directly above Montana and Idaho. And because of that, we have the very similar water that they do. We have great fishing. Most of the species we fish for are west slope cutthroats. What's really neat about that fish is they're probably one of the greatest dry fly species you could ever fish for.
They certainly are. And how big, when it comes to the rivers that we're talking about here, the Elk River, the St. Mary, the Bull River, and of course the far reaches, the upper North Columbia River, how big are these cuts on average?
The average cut in our area is anywhere a small fish will go 12, 13, all the way up to about 20 inches. So they're not a really big species. Their big draw is the fact that you can start at 9 o'clock in the morning on a dry fly, and you'll finish at 6 o'clock at night fishing dry flies. And because of that, it's a very specialized place. Not many places in North America you can do that anymore.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I mean, that is a rare event indeed. Now, we're broadcasting from the Pacific Northwest Sportsman Show in Portland, so folks, if you hear some background noise, that's what it is. You've got a big poster here at the back of your booth, and I couldn't help but notice what appears to be a very big bull trout. Is this from the Bull River?
No, it isn't. Actually, it is a big bull trout, and along with the west slope cutthroats, we have a lot of bull trout. And we're also one of the few regions in North America that legally allows catch and release on bull trout species, and we can target them, and we get some really big ones.
You know, that really has become a very rare thing, especially in the U.S., where it's almost unheard of to target bull trout. As a matter of fact, where I live, the Wenatchee River system in central Washington, they pretty much shut off most of the angling in that river system just to protect bull trout. You're absolutely right. So when it comes to bull trout, I know they get really big. How big are the ones that you're catching up there?
Well, the bull trout in our area, they start anywhere from small ones are going to go 6 pounds, big ones will go 10, but they get bigger than that.
Really?
Oh, yeah. We get some very, very large bull trout. It's not uncommon for us to see bulls in certain water bodies. We have 3 primary tributary streams where they spawn in, and the bulls will routinely break 15 to 18 pounds, somewhere around 36 to 39 inches in length. Very, very large fish.
Amazing. If this were to happen in Montana, there would be a constant parade of guides, all, of course, fishing out of drift boats with Sim stickers on them, that would be casting towards these fish and just hammering those waters. What's the pressure like when it comes to fly fishing these rivers in southeast British Columbia?
Quite a bit less pressure than what you'd find in Montana or Idaho. That's mostly because of a couple things. One, first we have a thing called a border between Canada and the U.S.
You don't let us riffraff in that easily.
No, it isn't that. It's just amazing how it works both ways, I've discovered over time. Sometimes it's hard to get down to the U.S., sometimes it's hard to get back into Canada. So That has one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is our province believes in really controlling the commercial side of fishing, mainly guiding. Guides in our region are highly restricted. It's considered a professional profession where we live. You have to have a very regulated license. It's very well controlled. Not unlike Oregon. Oregon has done the same thing. Very good controls on their guiding and commercial side. And that's what's helped a lot. So you're not going to see 30 boats running in a section of river on the Elk or the St. Mary River. You might, on the busiest day in August on the Elk, you'll see maybe 10 boats on a given stretch, but that'd be a busy day.
Wow. And for most of us, that's not a busy day at all. So let's talk about accessibility for these rivers. I mean, are these ones that bank anglers can access? Do you need drift boats? Do you need a shuttle service if you're using a drift boat? Tell me more about accessing these rivers and fishing them.
Well, that's kind of the really interesting part of our area. Because we don't see such high amounts of angling pressure, our whole river systems are all basic public water. There's no private water. And the Elk River, for almost 60 miles, travels along Highway number 3, one of the second busiest highways in the thing. So it's absolutely fantastic fishing and easy accessibility. There's lots of shuttle services available for the Elk in particular. The St. Mary and some of the other rivers, there's not near the access issue. You can't access by boat as easily, but you can definitely walk and wade any one of our streams. And we kind of pride ourselves on the fact that it isn't all about us guiding people all the time. We like having people come up, spend a day or two, get guided, but then be out on your own, explore some of the water. We can point you to unbelievable pieces of water besides the big two, St. Mary and the Elk. You can fish the Bull, the Skookumchuck, the Wigwam. I mean, I could go on and on about all the different fisheries.
One more river I want to talk about briefly is the Upper Columbia River. I have heard there are some ginormous rainbow trout to be found there, and they don't get a whole lot of pressure.
No, and that's kind of an unknown thing. I call it the least known great tailwater in North America. Not many people really know how good it really is, and it's a small stretch from Northport, Washington, north to the Canadian border. That's the U.S. side. And then we have 26 miles of water up to a dam called the Hugh Keenley Side Dam, and that's out of Castlegar, British Columbia. We run our guide service in the spring and fall there, and it's arguably some of the best big river rainbow tailwater fishing I've ever seen anywhere that I've ever fished.
So, Kelly, I know that you're a fly fishing guide, and you're advocating that people fly fish on these rivers, but I've got to ask, are these rivers restricted to fly fishing only, or can you toss a spinner or a spoon in here?
You can, and actually, particularly on the Elk River, it's open to single hook spinner fishing of any kind. You're perfectly legitimate. And the St. Mary, the big rivers. Where the restrictions get tighter is in some of our small tributaries where you're chasing big bull trout. Then they get a little tighter and require fly fish only water in those.
So I'm not a big advocate of bait fishing for trout because the mortality rate is just awful. But can people bait fish for trout?
No. Our water, and it's mostly because West Slope cutthroats aren't just wild, they're native species, and so are bull trout. And the truth is, there's a difference between the two. Wild fish are sometimes just can be planted fish that have gone wild, and that's fine, but native fish have been there a very, very long time. They have a tough enough life as it is. We don't need to throw bait at them. Not in our water.
Southeast British Columbia and these rivers, the Elk, the St. Mary, the Bull River, and the Upper Columbia, they just got on my bucket list of places I need to go fish. The last question I have for you is the season. Is this all a summer-fall fishery?
No, it's pretty much a whole, starting in spring. The Columbia fishes fantastic year-round, but its best prime time would be April all the way through till mid to late October. The cutthroat season in the East Kootenays, the Columbia's in the West Kootenays, in the East Kootenays, close to the Canadian Rockies. That season's going to run from about June 15th all the way till mid-October. And so it's a summer fishery. The best way I describe it is the cutthroat fishing is our summer fishing. It's great fun.
It sounds like a lot of fun. And folks, if you want to find out more and book a guided trip on one of these rivers for what sounds like an incredible cutthroat trout, bull trout, and rainbow trout fishery with lots of big fish, the website to go to is stmaryangler.com. That's stmaryangler.com. And if you find yourself in Cranbrook, make sure you stop by the St. Mary Angler Fly Shop to get some advice and the flies you need for success. Kelly, thanks for sharing this with us today on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thanks for having me.
Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, a nationwide group working to keep public lands in public hands. We've helped ban the use of drones for hunting. We help repair wildlife corridors in key riparian areas. We speak up against illegal ATV use. Please join this dynamic conservation group. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.
You're back again with Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz, and we've got some outdoors news to share with you. Starting off with big news about a world record ram. That's right, the new world record bighorn sheep ram has been located in Montana, and it wasn't brought down by a hunter. Nope, this big boy died of natural causes on Wild Horse Island, a state park located on Flathead Lake in northwestern Montana. According to Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, the ram, which died of natural causes, was found on the island in the fall of 2016, and state officials have kept it in storage since then. The 9-year-old ram was confirmed by the Boone and Crockett Club as the new world record bighorn sheep earlier this month, measuring out at 216 3/8 of a point, which shatters the previous record by nearly 7 inches. At 2,100 plus acres off the west shore of Flathead Lake near Dayton, Wild Horse Island is a world-class wildlife viewing destination that provides visitors spectacular glimpses of bighorn sheep, mule deer, songbirds, waterfowl, bald eagles, and falcons, as well as wild horses, as you might imagine from the name. Sounds like a great place to visit with a pair of binoculars or a camera later this year by boat, canoe, or kayak. Thanks to Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks for giving us this information. If you enjoy fishing rivers and you live in the state of Oregon, the Department of Fish and Wildlife there has got a few suggestions for you this week, to include taking up winter steelhead fishing on the Clackamas and Sandy rivers, which historically fishes very well at this time of year. Fly fishers seeking hookups with trout don't need to swipe on Tinder. Nope, just head to the Fall, Crooked, or Metolius rivers and try to catch some of those trout during the mid-afternoon hatches. Another place to go, the Lower Deschutes River, very scenic and very productive. Nymph fishing in particular will work for the trout there this time of year. Turning to hunting, this is the time of year to put in for big game tags in many of our western states. One state that gets a bum rap for having limited public access for hunters is the state of Wyoming, where many hunters believe they have to pay a landowner a fee to get on their land, or perhaps not get on much land at all. However, it turns out the state of Wyoming actually has all sorts of land available for hunters to access through their Access Yes program. In 2017 alone, the Access Yes program provided over 2.66 million acres of access to lands for hunting and fishing. Access Yes enhances and maintains public hunting and fishing access onto Wyoming's private and landlocked public lands through enrolling private landowners into one of the Game and Fish Department's access programs. If you want to find out more, go to the Wyoming Game and Fish website and go to the hunting page for links that will tell you where you can hunt, and yes, where you can fish too, in the Cowboy State through Access Yes. A lot of new products came out on the market at SHOT Show this year, and one of them is from Leupold and Stevens. It's the new Mark V HD scope, and with us here to tell you more about it is John Snodgrass with Leupold and Stevens. John, welcome to the show.
Thanks, John. Happy to be here.
So, John, the Mark V HD, should I call it a new scope for long-range shooters or the new scope for the long-range shooter?
Well, it's a little bit of both. So the Mark V is an entirely new family of scopes for us. We currently have 2 models shipping, a 5 to 25 by 56, which is going to be your long range and extreme long range scope. We also have a 3.6 to 18 that's going to work really well for those middle ranges out to 800 to 1,000 yards and runs really well on like a gas gun, like an AR-15 or an AR-10 or an FN SCAR, something along those lines.
You know, it's funny how far shooting has come in terms of long-range shooting with the AR platform. Way back in the day, when I was in the service in the infantry, you know, if you were hitting that 300-yard target over iron sights on a regular basis, you were doing a good job. I know that my fellow soldiers in the Marine Corps routinely shot further than that, but to make 800 to 1,000-yard shot off an AR-15 platform with a scope like this, that's amazing.
It really is, and like you said, you know, the technology has really brought the shooters a long ways, and also forced us as manufacturers to be able to match the capabilities and be able to get those people to get out to those kind of distances.
And when we're talking about the Mark V HD for the long-range shooter, that 5 to 25 by 56 scope, I know that you ran it through its paces in terms of seeing how far can we hit something with this. How far did you go?
So currently, I've personally taken these things out to a mile so far. We know guys that have taken them farther. There's a few of them that are being used for some of the extreme long-range events. There was an event right before SHOT Show where they were trying to stretch things out to 4,000 yards, and we know that guys have made hits with them out to 3,000 in practice. No one's set a record with one yet, but it's just a matter of time.
That is just incredible. Okay, these are definitely high-end scopes, the Mark V HD, either one. What makes them different from other long-range scopes or high-quality AR scopes on the market?
The biggest difference is we spent a lot of time really focusing on the system. And when I say system, I mean the rifle and the shooter and the optic all having to work together. So we spent a lot of time designing the scope to function as efficiently and easily as possible when the guy's actually down on the gun, working the bolt, trying to get a shot off. The ergonomics on the scope, the usability of all the dials, the power selector, everything was designed around the shooter while he's actually using the scope on the gun. A lot of what we've seen in the past has been, you know, designed kind of in a vacuum of just designing a rifle scope without a lot of attention to detail on how the whole system works together. That's probably the biggest difference between what's currently out there and how the Mark V operates.
Another question for you. When it comes to long-range shooting, 2 things come to mind, and that would be visibility, so in getting the most light available, because let's face it, if you're shooting a mile downrange, it's really hard to pick out that target, and going right along with that is clarity. So are these features that are emphasized in the Mark V HD more so than some of your other scopes?
Absolutely, yes. So the HD glass, the Mark V HD, uses our Twilight Max lens system, our Twilight Max HD lens system. So that was developed when we came out with the VX6 HD a couple of years ago. So as far as the lenses and the coatings and everything, it's the same as what's in our VX6 HD, our VX5 HD. This is just a natural progression into the more tactical world, the more focused long-range world with the Mark V HD. But yeah, we spent a lot of time developing the Twilight Max HD lens system to not only enhance the low light performance, but also give the best resolution and contrast possible.
Well, I'll tell you what, it sounds like if you're an extreme long-range shooter with a bolt-action gun or just want to really carry that round a lot further downrange off an AR platform, the Mark V HD sounds like a great choice. Where can folks get their hands on one of these, take a look at one, and buy one?
They're currently available through all the retailers that sell our products. Now, it was a new launch, so they're going pretty fast. It might be a little tough to find right now, but you can find them at Cabela's. I believe Bass Pro is going to carry them. All of our current distributors have orders in place, so any dealer who sells Leupold products will be able to get one of these for you.
That includes our sponsor, Sportsman's Warehouse. Be sure to look for them there. And if you can't find them, or if you just want to get more information right now, go to the Leupold website. You'll find that at leupold.com. Leupold and Stevens, They are a Beaverton, Oregon-based company. Their products are made in America, and it sounds like this is another great one. John, thanks for telling us all about this on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Leupold Gold Ring Optics are built to perform at the highest level, shot after shot, year after year. Our rifle scopes, binoculars, spotting scopes, rangefinders, and more always come through when you need them most. That's why our American-built products have a lifetime guarantee. Or as we like to say here at Leupold, they are guaranteed for a lifetime of performance, not a lifetime of replacement. Find out more about our top quality gear and our lifetime guarantee at Leupold.com. Leupold, America's optics authority.
Sportsman's Warehouse is America's premier outfitter and has the quality gear you need for hunting, fishing, camping, and more. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff will help you find the right products so you get the most out of your time in the field or on the water. In addition to stocking superior clothing and outdoor equipment, we offer in-store events and seminars so you can enjoy a successful adventure. With over 70 stores located in the United States, it's easy to find a Sportsman's Warehouse store near you. Find out more at sportsmanswarehouse.com.
We've got time for one more shot of Northwestern Outdoors Radio with John Cruz.
I'm glad you're back. Let's run through some upcoming events, shall we? The bulk of the Sportsman shows are over for the year, but there's still a few left to tell you about, including the Central Oregon Sportsman Show going on now through Sunday at the Deschutes County Fairgrounds in Redmond, Oregon. And if you're in the market for an RV, this is definitely the place to go because there are lots and lots and lots of them on display there from a number of different dealers. The Bighorn Outdoor Adventure Show, a great event for folks of all ages, is going to happen this year, March 15th through the 18th. Once again, it'll be at the Interstate Fairgrounds in Spokane. And don't forget to bring the kids because they've got lots of activities for them there. And the Great Rocky Show makes its final stop of the year in Missoula that same weekend, starting Friday the 16th and going through the 18th. So there's still some time to book a trip and have some fun at a Sportsman show near you. And now it's time for your Sportsman's Warehouse Trivia Question of the Week. And your question this week has to do with official state animals. Oregon is the beaver state. And like Oregon, you need to look no further than this state's flag to see the bison on it that signifies its state animal. Do you know what state has the bison, also known as the buffalo, as its state animal and has a big picture of it on its state flag? If you do, or if you think you do, go to our Facebook page. You'll find it at Northwestern Outdoors Radio. Just like the page, look for the post, and give us your answer there. Or if you prefer, contact us through our website at northwesternoutdoors.com and let us know what state has got the bison or buffalo as its state animal and proudly puts that picture of it on its state flag. One person who guesses right is going to win the $25 gift card we give away every week from Sportsman's Warehouse. And speaking of Sportsman's Warehouse, for all of you tuning in on Friday and Saturday morning, March 3rd, Saturday, you want to be there when Sportsman's Warehouse opens, and you want to be a loyalty member, because if you are, you're going to get one, and in some cases, 2 balloons to take with you to the checkout stand. Inside those balloons is a coupon that will give you anywhere from 5% off your purchase all the way up to 100% off your purchase. You won't know until you get to the register, but if you get a big ticket item, you just might get it for free. It's happening again when Sportsman's Warehouse stores open March 3rd. It's the big balloon sale. Don't miss it. We've got to go, but if you didn't catch all of this show or some of our other recent shows, there's a couple of ways you can do so. First off, you can go to our website at northwesternoutdoors.com and listen to the podcast we have posted there. We've also got a YouTube channel, You'll find that at Northwestern Outdoors. That's one word. Simply subscribe, and you'll get podcasts of this show and our sister show, America Outdoors Radio. Another place where you can hear both and hear them on the go is through the Podbean app. Just go to podbean.com, download the app, and subscribe to America Outdoors Radio to listen to a couple great hours of outdoors radio on demand. In addition to fishing this time of year, spring hiking is starting too. I already got to go out for a great hike with my son out to the ancient lakes in central Washington. I bet there's going to be some sunny days coming up this month that you can enjoy too. Until next week, take care, God bless, and make it a point to spend some time outdoors.